Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue our journey watching Colt and Larissa on 90 Day Fiancé. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. Things are not going well with this couple, so let's watch and see what happens.
She's not talking to me or my mother. Larissa? It's so dark in here. Got the light on?
So I don't know if they showed us that on purpose, but it looks like the door was kicked in, right? And I suppose it could have been the police, but it also could have been someone in the house, right?
So what happened today?
I don't talk.
Larissa, please. Talk to your husband.
No, go now.
Go where? This is my room. My house. On the block?
No, just respect. Oh, respect. Don't want to talk now. Respect me.
Respect me.
Yikes. That's another tick in the column of high control. When someone says, please leave me alone, and there's no real reason why you have to not leave them alone, and you decide not to leave them alone, then what does that say? Does that say you're confused, or does that say that you have a general pattern of control, of disrespecting someone else's boundaries, of intimidating other people? Now, why do people do that? There's a lot of reasons. People on the internet would like to say that everyone that does that is some sort of sociopath. That's the word that the internet uses. In my world, we use the word psychopath or antisocial. But usually it's not psychopathy, meaning lack of empathy. Usually it is an effort to gain attachment security. It's a very ineffectual, destructive way, but let me explain. I know I've talked about it before, but I don't know about Colt, but for some people, when they are relationally traumatized as a young person, they learn that they have to scheme in order to get love and attention early in life. They have to coerce. They have to use manipulation. They have to become dramatic. They have to do something to get people to love them. And when they're 2, 3 years old, it makes sense. If we were to watch them, if we were a fly on a wall in a house and watching a 3-year-old manipulate their neglectful or abusive parents to loving them, we would say, wow, that I feel really bad for that 3-year-old kid that they have to resort to that to get a little bit of love and attention. That 3-year-old still isn't getting enough love and attention, but they have to do that because of what they're living with. Okay, then you lock in those behaviors and those ways of thinking, and you fast forward to the age of 35, and you still believe that when there is an attachment threat, when you're not getting the love that you need to manipulate and control the other person. It will backfire almost always, if not always, in that the person doesn't like that and they actually run away. It's very different from when they were 3 years old, in that when they were 3, to manipulate was the only way to get love and attention. When they're 35, they don't have to manipulate to get love and attention, but they resort to that because it's just a habit. They just believe, well, this is the only way. That's what worked when I was young, and it works now. It's not a conscious process, not a conscious decision. No one wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to manipulate people to love me. It's just an automatic reaction. The way all of us love and bid for love and attention and ask people to love us and pay attention to us and be there for us, we learned when we were 3 years old. That's the way we learned when we were 3. That's what we do when we're an adult. And getting to know that reactivity and how we bid for those things and how we react to bids not being reacted to very well right away. Bids meaning like, hey, I love you, or hey, let's hang out, or hey, look at that thing outside. Just trying to get some interaction, or hey, let's do date night, or hey, let's roll around in bed for a second. We bid for love and attention. We have an upwelling of feeling that we want a connection, and we will bid for that. And then the other person, we hope, will respond in a certain way. And when they don't respond a certain way, if we are raised well, then we say, well, maybe they didn't hear me, or, I'll give them a break. I'll come back later. But if you have a lot of relational traumas, then it's very hurtful because it's basically re-engaging those traumas that you had when you were young. Some people, when they were young, they learned control, manipulate, demand, overpower, intimidate, and as an adult, they continue to do that. It's a sign of, I'm being rejected. The only way to get out of rejection, because everyone wants out of rejection, is through this manipulation and control. Is Colt like that? I don't know. There seems to be some evidence, but I'd have to talk with him. And it's easy to villainize them, all the people that do this sort of thing. I've treated so many people like this. These people need therapy the most, right? If we're going to help them to not abuse other people, they need our help. They need clinicians' help. And clinicians need to have a accurate and compassionate conceptualization of them such that they can actually heal and thus not have to do this anymore. I've helped so many people who were like this. I used to not specialize, but a part of my practice was specializing in domestic violence perpetrators. And I found that a good percentage of them were like this. Not all of them, but some of them. Some of them were legitimately psychopathic or sadistic, and those people were not necessarily salvageable. I don't know. It's a complicated thing. There's a way to actually help them to not commit crimes, but there isn't a way to generate empathy or to get rid of their manipulative motivation. Anyway. But the vast majority of the perpetrators I treated, there was that. It was all generated from this attachment trauma and habitual control as a way of managing that. And for some, that might be a very weird way of looking at it, right? You're telling me that the person that abused me in the past, they were trying to get close to me? Because that certainly didn't feel that way. Yeah, it never feels that way. It never feels like, wait, that was the way I was being treated, systematic abuse for 10 years, that was their attempt at getting close to me? That's ridiculous. Well, I don't know everyone's past abusers. Maybe your past abuser was literally a psychopath. But in my experience, it's that way. For those of you who have had young kids, you've all probably experienced this. Your 3-year-old is having a temper tantrum because you want to put them to bed, or you don't want to give them that gift, or I don't know, you're on the computer and they want your attention and you're just like, no, I can't give you attention. They have a meltdown. And they just start flipping out. Maybe they start throwing stuff at you. Well, most of us understand as parents, it's like, oh, well, she is just really sad that I need to pay attention to her. And when I start paying attention to her, then she doesn't throw things at me, and she doesn't throw a temper tantrum, and then she doesn't, write on the wall to get my attention. But somehow we give a pass to 3-year-olds. We don't give a pass, but we conceptualize it accurately. We're like, I haven't been, I've been really stressed out, and the pandemic and the kids melting down and the kids are doing all these bad things because I'm not giving them attention. I hope most of us can see kids like that. Well, somehow with adults, we have this, there's kids and then there's adults, like they're completely different creatures, like a different species. You have children and then you have adults. They're all the same. It's not like somehow 3-year-olds are different from 35-year-olds. They have fundamentally the same psychologies. They just act different is the issue. They don't feel different. 3-year-olds do not feel different from 35-year-olds. 35-year-olds feel like we all have the same emotions of sadness and fear and worry about rejection and desperation for closeness. And so thus the defenses would be similar as well. But when we look at a 3-year-old, we're like, well, that's my fault as a parent, or I need to help this child with their emotional regulation. And when we see a 35-year-old do it, we go, that person's a psychopath and we need to lock them up. Now, I'm not saying they don't need to be locked up. Maybe they do. But we should conceptualize them the same, in my opinion. Not everyone has to do that, but that's how I see it. It's always fit in the people that I've worked with. Now, I will say that it is not a walk in the park to treat people like this, because it's not like they don't treat me that way. If they are abusive to people, they will transfer to me and they will abuse me as well. And they will intimidate me and they will make my hands sweat, but that's all part of the job. I got into this work to help people. And as I always tell my students when they run into clients like this, and they're just like, I don't like this person, I'm like, remember, people come to therapy because they have problems. And just because the problems that they have you don't like does not mean that they don't need therapy, and does not mean that you don't need to be a therapist for them. This notion that somehow all clients will come to you and they'll have these very easy problems. The people that come to therapy, sometimes they have problems that are very, very difficult and will affect you as a clinician. You don't have to do all sorts of clients, but I'm saying that to reject these people, if we all as a clinical field just rejected these people and said they were evil, then where would we be, right? Anyway, I'm rambling. So the door's being kicked in, and we don't know the story about that at all. But we do have a situation right here where it might be pointing to an overall pattern for Colt in that he won't let Larissa alone. And that shows a disrespect for someone else's request that is really quite reasonable. A effort to intimidate, to say, hey, I need you to love me, and if you don't love me, I'm going to make you love me. I'm going to scare you into loving me. Let's continue watching. Hey, deserving listeners, as you know, I'm constantly recommending that people go to therapy. We all need therapy from time to time. One of the options available that is definitely worth checking out is BetterHelp.com. So if you're looking for a therapist, I would give it a try by going to BetterHelp.com/Kirk. Make sure you use the /Kirk because you get 10% off your first month, and it helps us out. I get a lot of emails from you saying that you're looking for a therapist. As you watch these videos, I know many of you have been motivated to find your own therapist, but I know it can be really hard to find a good one to work with. Like I said, one of the options available to try is BetterHelp.com/Kirk. And you should know that this service is available to clients worldwide, which is amazing. I've been told that you can start communicating with your therapist in under 24 hours. You can message with your counselor anytime. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions. And I've been told that it's often less expensive than in-person therapy. So go to BetterHelp.com/Kirk to get 10% off your first month of therapy today.
Larissa, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with us? What do you want? Larissa.
You're the one to talk now, okay?
Fine.
All right, so it did not escalate. It escalated kind of. I mean, what you would hope that he would say would be something like this. Larissa, I'm going to leave you because I want to respect you and you want me to leave, and that's totally fine. You're totally entitled to that. You don't ever have to talk to me again. You don't ever have to tell me what happened at the arraignment. But I just want to get some things off my chest. I love you. I feel like our marriage is going down the tubes. I don't want that to happen. So if there's anything I can do to help, I want to do that. But you don't have to do that. You don't have to work on the relationship, but I just want to let you know that I want to try. I also want to say that I'm hurt that you're not including me because I'm very interested in what's happening because I don't want you to be deported. I want you to stay. And I love you, and I'm here, and is it okay if I check in on you in a few hours or something and just see if you want to talk? Is that all? And if you don't want to talk, then that's okay. Maybe something like that. Now, some of you might be saying, well, Colt doesn't have those feelings, so why would he communicate that? I don't know. I would like to believe in the goodness of humans and think that at least a version of those feelings are down there and that he might be able to express it that way. But he decided to do it the way he did, which was to go in there and say, you need to respect me and talk to me. And then she kept saying, leave me alone, leave me alone. And pretty quickly he said, okay, fine, I'm going to leave you alone. But, what does that do? It just means that Larissa has more reason to not like him, more reason to shut him out.
I guess DA denial means her case was dismissed. So, congratulations, Larissa, you did it. I wish you could have told me that. This should be good news. Larissa should be telling me this, and we should be celebrating. I have no idea why Larissa won't tell me what happened. I'm not sure what Larissa is trying to do. I don't know if she's playing games with me.
So I'm a little surprised that he has no idea why she doesn't want to talk to him. You should have some idea. I have some idea that, I guess we've seen interviews with her outside of, but he should know that she's very upset and hurt that he took her phone away and provoked a call to police. And then when the police arrived, he said something to the police that got her arrested. So it's not much of a stretch that she would have some feelings. Now, whether or not it's accurate or not, who knows? Only they know, I'm guessing, or the police, I don't know. But you should have some idea as to why she is enthusiastic about interacting with you. All right, well, that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle in which I watched the show. Let me know what you think about what I said in the comments below. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.